What's up, Cody?
How are you? What is this? Is this like because we're doing aliens? Yeah, is that Star Trek, right? Is that
Yeah,
Star
it's the
Trek? Okay.
Vulcan Live Long and Prosper.
Okay. Live long and little shout out to the Star Trek.
I can't believe we didn't even talk about Star Trek on. I mean, there was so much that we didn't get to in our flagship episode with Chaz.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I've never seen a Star Trek before in my life, but that's for another day. That's for another story. Let's go
That's
with the archive. Let's
that's for when Trump gets the the military to give all the
release all the
yeah, we'll
FBI
have our
information
second
and
official
exactly.
alien episode. But here we go to round out the month, and we're gonna go through. I actually have an alien story. It's 4 parts.
Get out. Get
Um,
out.
yeah. Welcome to
And
hunting
we're going
season.
back. This is now 20 this is 2013.
Yeah, this is 2013, May
Okay.
17th, 2013.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see the outfit. I can't wait to see the jewelry.
Okay, so Cody, this first part, I said May 17th, 2013. It's called Menace in the Yard. This is the 8th
Menace.
story that I put out. Not the 8th video, but the 8th story. And it's part 1 because there are 4 parts to this story. So I just sent you
Okay.
the link. I haven't seen this since 2013. And
Oh my gosh.
I'm nervous. Oh, man.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit the link here.
Yeah, it's
Going to
this
it.
first part's 11 and a half minutes. So we'll see you on the other side.
Hat, no, frack, I hate this hat. Good evening, world, and thanks for coming to check out Haunting Season. Spooks and specters are not the only thing that we do here. In fact, the word paranormal stretches to all kinds of interesting things, so don't be surprised if the answer isn't always a ghost. So today's story is one I've written as a piece of fiction, but it is based on facts and locations in real life. And although this story is fiction, there are reports of events like this every year all over the world. Here's part 1. I was home alone. The little girl already off to school. Wife hit the road an hour ago for some big shoot in the city. She's a camera operator. And today she had a gig working on some ad agency's video, top secret. Couldn't even tell her husband. I work from home, I'm an editor. Between the two of us, we figured we'd use our skills to make feature films, movies. But one unexpected pregnancy later, here we are, stuck doing corporate video. Don't get me wrong, Alice is the best thing that has ever happened to us. She's perfect. She's a perfect daughter. She's fun, creative, beautiful. So anyway, I have this bad habit of smoking when the family is gone, and the second they were out the door, I was out back having a morning cigarette and coffee. Neither of them knows, really. I hide it well under layers of clothes and mouthwash and constant cleaning. Anyway, so the way my yard is laid out is pretty standard for the suburbs of Philly. You go out the double glass doors and onto a soapstone patio that I laid myself with the help of my brother. And then there's hedges like about waist high on 2 sides and a garden on the other. And then the glass doors. And then we have the standard patio furniture, the 4 chairs, the table, the umbrella. Out to the right is a tree that I planted the day we moved in. Who could believe it's been 5 years? It's really coming into its own. And then over to the left, we have a swing set. Again, that I put in myself. It's still in good condition, a little aged over the years. And then we've got a brown fence that runs around the yard, and the rest is grass. Nice, fluffy grass. When we moved in, it was all dirt. No tree, no patio, just a big flat pat of brown, dry dirt. I literally put everything in its place with my bare hands. The tree, the patio, the hedges, everything, all planned out by me. I know this yard like the face of my wife. I never liked the back of the hand analogy. So they told us when we moved in that the previous owner had wanted to put in a pool, but that they ran out of money, and that the man had gone insane and lost his job due to unpredictable behavior. I'm guessing he was violent. So the bank seized the house and we got it for cheap. It was nice. We kind of needed that break. This particular morning, I noticed something weird, something off. So I took my scalding hot coffee and I placed it on the patio table, taking a long, hard hit from my cigarette. If you're not gonna smoke full time, you have to hit them hard when you can. And as I'm holding my breath, it hits me. The swing set. It's off, it's not squared off to the fence. It's been there for 3 years, and when I installed it, I spent hours measuring the holes, the post dug into the earth, founded in cement. I had done a good job. I felt like a real man. Taking another long, hard hit of my mood stick and leaving it between my lips, I grab on a post and I shake it. Steady as a rock. Huh. Maybe all the years of swinging has slowly moved it day by day in the world's slowest collision course for my house. Huh. I finished my final drag as I walked back to my coffee, and holding the smoke in my lungs, I flicked the butt of my cancer stick over the fence into the street where no one will find it. And I start to get lightheaded, and I exhale into my coffee cup, creating a faint little tornado of smoke. Time for work. 13 hours later, my family is gathered around the table eating a midnight snack. When my wife has a long shoot day, we typically skip dinner and we all eat together what we call a midnight snack, usually around 10:30 or 11. Tonight, we feast on avocado, cheese, homemade bread made by me, lettuce, tomato, all cut into perfect little bite-sized pieces so you can make your own tiny little sandwiches. It's a family favorite. Towards the end of dinner, I start thinking about the yard again. The swing set's out of order.
What happened?
No, I'm sorry, I'm very tired for some reason. No, it's fine, honey. You can still swing on the swing set.
Yay! What's wrong with the swing set, Alan?
It's just, it's not square.
Not that again.
No, I'm serious.
It's been 3 years. It's in concrete. It's fine.
Not satisfied, I took her out to see. There, look,
It looks square to me.
she said and ventured back inside. No way. So I go to the garage to get my tape measure, and I'm not obsessing. I just need to know. So I go around the outside so as not to disturb the family, and I creep into the side of my garage, and I grab my tape measure, and I book it back to the swings. Huh. That's strange, but it doesn't look like the swing set is off anymore. But I saw it. It had to have moved a whole foot just while I was inside. So I measure it, and it's square. How? I take a sit in the grass with my back up against the fence, and my eyes are finally adjusting to the dark. Whew, I want a cigarette. Bad, but I can't. And suddenly there's this strange movement in the grass. Like a discoloration. It moves from the swing set to the middle of the yard. Squiggly lines, that's the best I can explain it. 5 squiggly lines weaving through the grass, almost like synchronized snakes. So they move across the yard and then over to my tree, where they stop, right about a foot in front of my tree. And there's a slight burning smell. And I'm staring at them. What the heck is that? It's not like anything I've ever seen before. And then the tree's gone. And before I can even react, it's back. But it's not just back, it's moved an entire foot towards me to exactly the spot where the squiggly lines were. What? I jump to my feet and I run over to the tree, and I'm standing there and I just cautiously touch it. And I'm like, wow, yeah, it's there all right. Exactly where it was. Well, I mean, minus the foot. So I touch around the base of the tree, dry, solid, as if it's been slowly growing there for 5 years. And my wife comes out to call me in.
Alan, coffee's on. Oh, shit. Now what is it?
It moved.
You're not about to lose it, are you? I'm not in the mood to deal with a crazy person.
And as she's speaking to me, yelling to me across the yard, our eyes both begin to lower and focus on the movement in the grass. Do you see that?
What is it?
I don't know, but it's it's moving stuff.
Shut up. What is it really?
I can tell she's confused, maybe even scared, as we both watch these squiggles move to the middle of the yard, and I'm drawn to it. I don't know why, but I want to see it up close. I want to touch it, study it.
Alan, don't.
It's fine. The tree passed through it. It came back intact.
What if it's radiation or something?
Radiation? No, I don't think so. It's I don't know what it is. And so I'm moving closer and closer to it, hypnotized by its strangeness. And the closer I get to it, the more it seems like a physical imprint in the ground. And the 5 squiggly lines are always moving, but they're also starting to take shape, and they look more and more like I'm right next to them now, bent over. Yes, that's exactly what they are. And I stand up and I shout to my wife, "They look like footprints!" And just then I feel a cold breath on my face. And in the flash of a second, I see it for what it truly is. And it quickly wraps its arms around me, and I'm gone.
Alan!
My wife runs to the center of the yard, and just as she gets there, I'm back. I appear right before her, about a foot from where I was taken, completely naked, completely shaved, not a hair on my head, not even eyebrows, eyelashes, no arm hair, no leg hair, nothing. And 3 tiny scab marks on each of my forearms. Unable to stop, she slams into me, tackling me like a football player to the ground, and I crumble into the grass like a sack of potatoes. And my wife scrambles up onto her hands and knees, climbing over to my broken body, and stares at me up and down, mouth gaping in shock, unable to speak. And as I lie on my back, naked to the world, belly up to the sky in my own backyard, staring at my wife, I try to speak. But I only managed to say one thing before passing into the darkness of a deep, healing sleep. I've been smoking.
Do you notice anything different about me?
I see that you've got the shirt from back in the day.
It's the same glasses,
You still have
too.
that shirt? That's now what? That's 7. That's going to be 8 years old here in May, right?
Something
Or is
like
it even
that.
older than that?
I saw that and I was like, I literally was looking at that shirt this morning and thought it is far too hot to wear today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take it off, but I just had to do that. Yeah. So what'd you think?
It's good. It's good. I like mood sticks.
Mood sticks.
I've heard, the cancer sticks and everything like that, but I've never heard of mood sticks. And then second, so is this, this is based on a true story?
Based on just research into what people who claim they've been abducted have experienced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I have a feeling that the previous owner of the place who went a little, I have a feeling something might have been happening to him, and it might be happening. Smokes. I've been smoking. I like that too. You're just laying there naked on your back after being abducted. I've been smoking.
Been smoking. Yeah, I like that. I it's always weird to revisit something you haven't thought about in so long, and I don't remember writing this or performing this at all. I feel like there's little bits of I've always loved Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I can tell, I can see that in my performance. Not that I'm at that level in any way, shape, or form, but I can hear parts of him in my speech patterns.
Totally. Yeah. It's a very good performance. I mean, every single one of these things, I'm blown away. No, I swear. The storytelling and the way it's delivered is really good. And then also there's edits, but it's not overly edited. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And my friend Claire agreed to be in this with me.
I was gonna say, want to give a shout out to your co-star?
Yeah, Clare Dill. She's my friend from college, and we ended up working together on a children's show for a while in New York.
All right, shout out to Clare.
Yeah. Let's see if she's in part 2.
All righty.
In my wife's reality, I was only gone for a second, maybe 2. But for me, it was like an eternity. When that thing grabbed me, it felt as if its entire body was made out of syringes. Every inch of my skin felt millions of little pricks, followed by what felt like an injection of fluid. A pressure under my skin, feeling like I was expanding a centimeter around my entire body. I was engulfed by the thing. It squished into my face, and I couldn't breathe, and everything went dark. And I struggled, trying to move, to breathe, but the liquid was keeping me at bay. It felt as if water was underneath my skin and jelly was completely covering me. I couldn't move even enough to panic. What is happening to me? Where am I? My heart rate slowed to a near stillness. I don't know how much time had passed before I caught a strange smell. There's no real comparison that I can make to anything familiar. It was like smelling this meant color. If you could smell a box of crayons, but it didn't smell like wax, it smelled like the color. I can't explain any more than that because it's not something I've ever experienced before. Suddenly it hit me. I can breathe. And I slowly sat up on the floor of a metal room. A cylinder. The floor was black, but somehow also the source of light for the room. It was a perfect circle and about 12 feet across. And the walls were seamless as well, also clean, but with a brushed metal surface with a ceiling to match. I started to stand up, and I found that my body didn't feel as heavy as it usually does. Although the surroundings were made of seemingly heavy materials, there was an airiness about where I was. I mean, the ceiling was 15 feet above me, but I felt like if I gave a good jump, I might be able to touch it. I just felt so light. So I gave it my all. I squatted to jump, and then I heard a small click, which made me hesitate enough that my jump didn't end up being full force, and just missed it. Dag! But as I come back down to the floor, I realize that I keep going. I mean, the floor looked the same, but I was slowly floating down. And that's when I started to get afraid. Before, I was so fascinated by my surroundings that I didn't even think about how I got there. The smell, the feelings, the lightness was all so interesting. But now, sinking into the blackness with nothing to grab onto, I was afraid. I was very afraid. And as my chin passed the floor level, I looked up at the cylindrical room that was my brief entertainment as a black disc slid over the opening and projected dark light down from an invisible ceiling. I floated, or moved, down. At least I assume I was, based on the last thing that I saw. I must be moving down. The walls, the floor, the ceiling, all pitch black, blacker than black, and yet my body is still fully illuminated, floating, floating, floating. A feeling only very few men and women in our lifetime have ever felt in space. Space? No. It couldn't be. I barely ever get out of Pennsylvania, let alone space. And yet, somehow it seems like the most logical answer. Clicking. I hear clicking from both sides of me as 4 impossibly thin robotic arms come at me from the darkness. And I try to push them away, but they're so thin that they keep disappearing into the blackness. As thin as sewing needles, the long arms are coming at me, and they look like they have 3 fingers and 2 thumbs, and they're groping at my body. Finally, I make contact with one, and I grab it, trying to snap it off at the wrist, but the thin metal, it slices at my hands. How could it be so strong? 2 of the needly arms grab my wrists and dig into the skin like wire, cutting deeper as I struggle. But then they let go, as if they're surprised by the result, and they try a different approach. The 3 fingers of each hand penetrate deep into my forearm, digging into my muscle tissue, and the thumbs injecting likewise into the opposite side, pinning my arms up so that I can't fight. And I let out a scream, which can only be seen and not heard. And it looks like a golden vapor, like very fine glitter, floating in a mist. In agony, I'm kicking at the remaining 2 arms, which are pulling at my shoes. And while my sneakers are still on, I manage to get in a good kick to the arm on the left, leveraging my left foot underneath of it and snapping off the hand, which disappears into the darkness underneath. Score 1 for Team Allen, and the pin-like arm recoils, not in pain, but almost as if it's been called back for repair. And my confidence grows as I'm preparing to destroy the other hand, which is keeping its distance, but I'm exhausted. I take a moment to rest, letting my feet fall limp. The only positive to this situation is the lack of gravity. If I were actually hanging from these penetrating fingertips, I would be in total agony. Suddenly a gleam of light to my left, and a strong prick at my ankles as the broken robotic arm returns, piercing both of my heels between my bone and my Achilles tendon. Another golden mist escapes my gaping mouth, and I meditate away from the pain and try to escape into my thoughts. Arms above my head, feet together, pinned in the darkness, I begin to panic. This whole time I felt a sense of control, a sense that I may be able to get out of here alive, back to my daughter Alice and my wife Janine. How long have I been gone? Hours? Days? Was I near Earth, or even still on Earth? What if this was some psychological experiment run by a university, or some military procedure? No, there's something otherworldly about this place. Our world can't even manage to have functioning escalators, let alone anti-gravity vacuum cells like this one. My thoughts offering no solace, I become observant again. The remaining arm is pulling at my clothes. Testing my shirt first, the hand seems to decide it's not necessary to keeping me alive, and poking one thin finger into my sleeve, it tears it open like an envelope all the way down the side. Coming over to my left, it does it again. My shirt falling into the darkness below, and I'm now shirtless. And it pulls at my shoes, removes them, pulls at my socks. I'm barefoot, and I watch, unable to move or make a sound, as it systematically experiments by cutting away all of my clothes until I am completely naked. And staring down at my naked body, I realized for the first time that there's no temperature in this place. The robotic hand pulls back, curiously searching for more meaningless accessories to do away with. It pokes a finger at my belly, and I recoil, and a gold mist escapes my exhausted mouth. It pulls away, venturing again, this time to poke my face. Another mist. The hand pulls away again, and with a single finger out, it slowly scans down the side of my body, just as it did before when removing my clothes, searching for an unnecessary piece to remove from its new puzzle. A centimeter away from my flinching skin, it moves down, down, down. It must be planning to remove my skin. It has to be. But where will it start? Oh God. Why? Please help me. I've got to get out of here. If you help me, I promise I will never smoke again. A man shouldn't lie to his family. I'm sorry. Please. Please. The hand stops at my hip, circling around the front. No, not that. Anything but that. The hand reaches forward and carefully grabs my penis, lifting it for inspection. Please, God, spare me. And it retracts, letting go of me. A tiny mist escaping my mouth. Thank you, Lord. With a newfound sense of relief, I let out a tiny little sigh as the hand moves back up my body. And I notice, as ever so subtly, the fingertips of the hand open up like little satellite dishes. And it moves up over me like a shower head, and once in position, begins to spray liquid all over my body. And the liquid has no temperature, and there's no breeze in here, so I don't feel wet. It's just a strange, smooth texture running all over my entire body. And as I look down, watching the light blue liquid cascade down my naked body, I notice that it's filled with little brown squiggles, all different lengths. My hair. It's my hair, all of it. And I watch helplessly as my arms and legs and body become as hairless as a dolphin. A new extreme of nakedness and vulnerability. And when it's done washing me, stripping me of my texture, it lets go. First, the fingers sucking out of my forearm with a jolt, and then I begin to pivot down from the spike through my heels, twisting inside of me, and then there's this tremendous pain as it quickly and violently rips through my flesh and out of my ankles. And one last golden mist shoots from my gaping mouth as I spin through the black void and then land on the glass floor. And as light begins to come from the black glass floor, the room illuminating around me, I see that I'm back in my room from before. Or perhaps I never left. And I try to stand, but the exhaustion overwhelms my body, and I slip into a heavy slumber. Woo! How's it gonna end? Guess you have to come back next week to find out. On a bear!
Wow. Joshua, I thought we were going to go into the probing. I thought when the finger started slowly moving down, I thought, oh boy, here it comes. We've talked about this, and it's on all, like most alien abduction things, we always get to the probe, and I thought, but then it went a hard right.
So that's awkward. I bet you didn't think when I asked you to do an archive episode today that we'd be referencing my penis.
No.
But you know what? Normalize male anatomy. We have had so many years of the female anatomy just being on blatant display. Where are the penises? You know, Game of Thrones kind of, toss some of that out there. I'm just saying, let's normalize male anatomy. No, but in all seriousness, one thing about this episode that I realized, and it references back to part one, is the idea of lost time. It's a common theme that we hear all the time in abduction stories. In part one, my character, he's gone, and then boom, he's right back. But his experience, now we're finding, was much longer. And so that this can be a common theme in real life abduction stories of people who experience a long loss of time, and they come back and people are like, you weren't gone.
But it could have been like a month for you in that being, abducted.
Or years.
Yeah.
And it could be the opposite too. Like, the person's missing for an extended period of time, but for them, they're like, what do you mean? I wasn't gone.
Like the fire in the sky.
And then they go, and then they go through the trauma and the,
grieving and all that kind of stuff.
Psychotherapy and all that stuff. And maybe it comes back and they're like, there were aliens.
It's good. And then also I was curious to know about, like, I don't know if I'm reading the little, the subtitles there. I'm kind of following along. But there was a part where it says dag, and I thought, oh, I bet it's just a misprint. He's going to say dang. And then you go, dag! And I was like, what the? Is that something that's like, is that a regional, like, term?
It might be.
Dag?
It might be. So I grew up in New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. My dad always said dag, like that was his way of being, oh, dag, and I think that was something he picked up in college. When I was in college, I was acting in a senior thesis film for these guys called the Epic Boys. And they're friends of mine. And they had written into the script dag like several times. There was even dag cereal was one of like the fake cereal boxes because you don't want to use name brands on screen. So I don't know where it comes from, but it's been a part of my
lexicon.
Yeah, my vernacular.
That's I mean, I've heard dag, dag nabbit, But
Yeah,
I've never heard dag.
Who knows? It
just
might
dag.
like trace back to like gold digging times, it's like it means finding a piece of gold. Dag. Who knows? There's probably some sort of history to the word, but I have no idea. My favorite part of this episode is I wrote it down exactly. I'm staring down at my naked body and I realize that the microphone is above me because you can't hear me anymore.
That's an actor's intuition. That was an adjustment where you realize, oh wait, I can't be looking down.
Yeah, that's me always judging myself. So I have an idea here. I think like this has been so much fun and the story is really, really good, but there's 2 more parts and I feel like this is getting kind of long. What if we break this into 2 episodes?
Are you saying you want to leave this as a cliffhanger? Is this like what they would say in the industry as a cliffhanger?
Yeah, there was such a great ending to that one. What's gonna happen
next? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
All right, cool. I'll see you next week.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Haunting Season was created by me, Joshua Sterling Bragg.
Produced by Greg Holtzman and Jessica Richmond.
And executive produced by Matt Gielen, Patrick James Lynch, and Ryan Gielen.
And is a joint production of Believe Limited and Matt Gielen.
This episode was written and hosted by Cody Dugan and Joshua Sterling Bragg.
It was edited by Colby Crow.
And select music in this episode was made exclusively for the podcast by North Innsbruck.
If you like our show, please subscribe on your favorite platform.
We have a video version of the show on YouTube and Facebook, and audio versions on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Was that good? Oh boy.